It is week 9 in the Canadian Football League. Welcome to Third and Long, the All-CFL podcast available on iTunes. Download us, rate us. Andy McNamara alongside Carlan and producer Sase Narayan. Jam-packed show today. We will be welcomed by the Winnipeg Blue Bombers safety Ian Logan and Andrew Buchholz of Yahoo Sports and the 55-yard line, as well as our picks and top news stories of the week. Follow us on Twitter at Third and Long, the number 3RD and Long. Email us at third.longpodcast@gmail.com. Carlan, a short week because it was a bye week for some of the teams.
And we don't get buys on the Third and Long show. We work right through the bye weeks. So let's get right into it. This is a bizarre world as the CFL, is it not?
Well, I watched the game, Carlan, but I had to look at the score because it still didn't seem right to me.
I watched the game too. It was the Friday night game, if I'm not mistaken, and I was a little tired from a long work week. I'm watching the game. It's of course out west, so the game started a little bit later, and every time BC scored, they looked so dominant in doing so, and I thought that I dreamt it until I woke up the next morning and saw the score.
36-1.
Yeah.
2-1.
A rouge.
Over the Edmonton Eskimos, who have now lost 3 consecutive times after getting off to a super hot start, the first time since the early 80s in their Grey Cup glory days.
We jinxed them.
Yeah, well, I guess we did.
Yeah, we jinxed them.
Sorry, Eskimos.
Yes.
But 5-3 now. They're falling. The BC Lions grabbed their second win of the year. Travis Lulay looked unstoppable.
Travis Lulay looked amazing. 22 for 37, 343, 4 touchdown passes, and 1 pick. If he can erase that 1 pick, that's a near perfect game for young Lulay. And the reason why I think he was so effective, they finally got the running game going. I've been talking about it for weeks. Let the running game help a young quarterback out. They finally did that. Robertson went for 62 yards. Harris gashed him in the middle with 8 carries for 33 yards. When the BC Lions could make it a 50-50 pass to run ratio, much like Edmonton's been doing throughout the season, they could be a dangerous team. That offensive line looked pretty good too.
Yeah, and talk about terrific acquisition finally paying off in spades. Arlen Bruce, the third. 2 touchdown passes. Check out those yards. 129, 21-yard run. How smart does Wally Buono look picking up Arlen Bruce and another weapon for Travis Lulay that allows them to open up that running game.
It allows them to open up the running game and also makes life a lot easier for G. Simon. Maybe he doesn't see as many double team. It's striking controversy, of course, on News Talk Radio all over Toronto and trickling down across Canada.
Well, yeah, newspaper ads all over. Here is the controversial ad, ladies and gentlemen, and I'll try to stay objective because it really irked me this morning. But there's a poster on their Argonauts logo and all that, and it says, "Home is where the heart is. It's also where we hurt people." Now, when I take that, I think obviously they don't literally mean of hurting people in their own homes. It means at home in the Rogers Centre. But our lovely Toronto friend, Councillor Mike Layton, he kicked off the week with a letters to the Argos questioning the team's ad slogan. He thinks it promotes or is insensitive to victims of domestic abuse, which is obviously kind of a pretty heavy subject and a serious issue. I think it's ridiculous. Councillor Mike Layton, do your job and put up a stop sign or whatever you do on council. Leave the Argos alone.
I don't understand how that would affect his everyday thing. But I mean, I know where he's going. His heart's in the right place. I was never affected by in-house abuse in any way. But when I look at that sign, I take it as a sports sign. I don't take it. And if it had said, "Home is where the heart is," and the Argos beat their wives, then it'd be a totally different story.
Different story, probably not as popular.
Yeah, exactly. And I could see where he's coming from, but I have no sympathy for him. If he's taking the backlash that he's taking from sports fans, if you're a sports fan, you automatically assume that football is a violent sport. They glorify violence, and there's no inner. I guess there's no female, no, nothing. There's no. I don't see where he got that from.
No,
and it did make me mad as well, Andy.
Yeah, and the thing is, too, we'd love to hear back from the Third and Long faithful as well. Tell us what you think. You can email us, third.longpodcast@gmail.com, or, of course, tweet us at Third and Long. What do you think of this? Maybe Carl and I, maybe we're missing the boat. Maybe it's It is offensive. I take this as a counselor. It's over summer. He's looking for something to do. He's looking to get his name in the headlines. It did that. Counselor Mike Layton.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Counselor Mike Layton, just do something else. I think it's ridiculous.
He's just trying to get his name out there, and
it worked.
I hope he loses votes because of it.
Well, and the Toronto Argo said if they have not received any overwhelming ads. They said if they did, they'd take it down, or they would consider taking it down. They say they've received less than 10 complaints.
They did take it down at the last I've heard of it.
Oh.
But what they should have done is reached out to Argo Nation and asked the true fans,
are you offended?
Are you offended by it? And I'm sure I would put my house on line and say 90% of people would have been like, okay, that's okay by me. We know what you're trying to say out there, and you're not trying to promote violence against women. Hopefully this kicks off a campaign where maybe the Argos could kind of turn this around and put on a campaign where they are putting out there that violence against women in the house, or even not even against women, but against children in the house as well.
Yeah, and any type of violence at home, of course, is wrong. I think the next poster...
I just feel bad for Ricky Foley. His face is on that. I know Ricky Foley. Ricky Foley is an amazing guy.
Listen.
And now his face has sparked controversy. Poor Ricky.
I think the next poster should have Ricky Foley having Counselor Mike Layton in a headlock, putting the squeeze on him. Come on.
Ricky Foley's he's not a munchkin. He's a big guy.
Well, anyway, that's the No Huddle News and Notes. We'll step aside and come back with the legendary Neil Lumsden, 4-time Grey Cup champion.
Since when did Ricky Foley become a model? Unreal.
We'll come back. You're listening to Third and Long. Matthew Cause of TSN Radio and CFL.ca joining us here on Third and Long. Matthew, sticking with the quarterback situation and the Blue Bombers now, of course, Stephen Giles coming over to Toronto. Question for you, is an injured Stephen Giles or Noel Prefontaine better than a healthy Cleo Lemon?
Yes. Yeah, they are. They are.
Are we better than a healthy Cleo Lemon? I don't know.
You know what? God. Listen, you know what? I don't mind admitting my bias. I grew up in Toronto. I grew up an Argonaut fan. So, listen, I root for them. Now, in the Grey Cup, I was rooting for Saskatchewan because they hadn't won the Grey Cup in a while. So, I have biases all over the place, and I don't mind admitting that. And I want Cleo Lemon to be good. I really do. But I've watched him now very closely for all his time in Toronto. And listen, he's not that good. But he isn't. It's just when you watch him play, here's the thing. Now, let me ask you this. I'm going to turn it around. I know I'm being interviewed, but I'm going to ask a question.
Sure.
When he completes a ball more than 10 yards downfield, are you shocked?
I am absolutely astonished.
Yes.
Not only that he completes the ball, but that they allow him to throw that even that far. Like the short passing game has been his bread and butter as long as he's been in the league.
Yeah, absolutely. That's my problem with him is that how much faith can I have in a quarterback when he completes a 12-yard pass to Jermaine Copeland? I'm like, oh wow, look at that.
Yeah,
it's
put it on the TSN highlight reel, right?
Yeah, it's sort of like having, you've got a
all-time football passing yard record. Next game, Toronto Argonauts on the road in Calgary. Nobody, except for you, my friend, Carlan, picked the Argonauts to beat the Stampeders on their home turf, 23-21. Cleo Lemon, he's looking pretty good.
Yeah, I beg to differ. He didn't look good at all. No, he didn't look good, but I mean, if you win, you look pretty.
No doubt.
You look pretty.
But the reason I say that, Carlan, is because if you look last year, the TD to interception ratio, disgusting.
Yeah.
Cleo Lemon isn't going to be a guy, typically, at least this point in his career, who's going to go out and win you games outright. He just needs to do enough not to make you lose and make those key shorter passes. I liked how versatile he was in the pocket. He's moving well, has that momentum, using that athleticism, which he didn't do a whole lot last year.
He didn't do a whole lot last year. The big point, as you mentioned, keep the ball out of the Stampeders' hands. He did that, only throwing one pick, and Lemon got the victory. That's all that matters.
It.
Big showing on the ground game. Corey Boyd brought his A game. When you pack a running game on the road and you pack a great defense, which the Argos do, you could win on the road more often than not.
Yep, and the Cleo Lemon, 16-30, 187 yards, 1 TD, and intercepted once. So you have it even. That's fine. Counterpart, Henry Burris, who was in, our CFL top 10 picks, 26 for 39, 293, was also picked. This was a week where the dominant teams were kind of picked apart from times or didn't look totally as successful as they could be. Even Montreal in the win, only by 4.
Yeah, and the thing about the Calgary Stampeders offense, they did move the ball, and sometimes they showed glimmers of that offense that we saw last year, setting the having the top points scored for it was 626 points in the entire season. But they couldn't get it in the end zone.
Nope.
And then when they set up for field goals, they were only 1 for 4. So they left points on the board that they could have picked up. And had they kicked those field goals and got them through, they would have been victorious. However, the kicker was injured. So, I mean, he had it. It showed after the game that he had a partial tear in his in his quadriceps. So he did play hurt. That's warrior mentality right there.
Oh yeah, and on the other side, the kicker for the Argonauts did come through in the clutch. 17 seconds left, 43-yarder. Noel Prefontaine getting it done. And Carlan, that ends a 5-year losing streak for Toronto at McMahon Stadium.
Yeah, it wasn't pretty. It wasn't your Kim Kardashian of wins or Beyonce Knowles of wins. It was more like a Rosie O'Donnell, but they'll take it.
Oh, man.
They'll take it.
Yes, brought me down there, man. It's terrible. Last game of week 1, Edmonton Eskimos thrashing your green and white, 42-28.
And it was.
I got that pick right.
Yeah, but you got it by luck. I mean, this was a shocker to most across the CFL. I mean, it's one thing to win, but to win convincingly and throwing up a 40-burger, 42-28. It was Saskatchewan didn't even come off the bus. They didn't even leave the locker room.
Well, and we're going to save some more chat about them when Rod Peterson, the voice of the Saskatchewan Roughriders, joins us in a little bit. I'm sure he's going to have lots to say. He's
going to have lots to say without question. But let's just say that on Edmonton's perspective, Ricky Ray kind of came back and showed that he can lead a team. He didn't have the greatest of seasons last year. A lot of people down on him, saying he lost a step and saying that last year is going to be pretty much the same as this year. Ricky Ray, 21 for 27, 290, 294, 3 touchdowns. He only threw 11 touchdowns all of last year.
Jeez.
And he already has 3 to start this season, so I think he's starting off on a good foot. They even dusted off Kerry Joseph off the bench and let him run a touchdown in. So, I mean, Saskatchewan, whoa.
Get the cobwebs off of Kerry Joseph. He can still do it. He can still do it. He's athletic.
He can still do it. Jason Barnes also had a tremendous game for Edmonton, so the stats were up there for him. Good to see him come back from an injury.
Absolutely. So let's take a look now at No Huddle news and notes. Welcome back to Third and Long, the Canadian Football League podcast. Andy McNamara with Carlan Gay and producer Sase Narayan. Thank you so much for joining us. We proudly welcome now the legendary host of the Olympics on CTV and longtime CFL analyst, Mr. Brian Williams. Brian, welcome to the program.
Hi, Andy. Good to be with you, and good to be with Carlan.
So, some historic news the past week in the CFL. Anthony Calvillo breaking Damon Allen's touchdown record with his 395th TD pass. In your mind, you've seen a lot of Canadian Football League action. Is he the greatest player in CFL history?
No, I don't think he's the greatest player. He's one of them. I'm a little older than you guys. I can remember going to Clark Stadium back in the late 1950s.
Andy, why are you hating on the green and white? It's like you don't care about us, even though we got to the championship twice. I bet you a box of Darios that we win this week's game. Now, how about that? Now, of course, Andy, you picked the Rough Riders for this week's game. But if you scratch all that, you've been hating on the Rough Riders.
You have been hating on. What is your reasoning behind that?
I always couple it with no disrespect to the Saskatchewan Rough Riders, but you can get to a championship much like, and I know we'll get beeped on this, the Buffalo Bills.
Beep.
Beep. You can get to the dance, but if you don't have a partner, baby, you go home alone. Saskatchewan Rough Riders. 0-2, and that is why I quote-unquote hate on the Rough Riders. But I really love you, Saskatchewan. I do.
Andy, that was you didn't have to go there with the bleep Bills.
Well, and you know what, guys, Sase and Carlan, because of that, who's it from?
It's come from Jennifer in Regina.
Jennifer from Regina. I always appreciate emails, but guess what you just did? I'm switching my pick.
Wow.
Montreal Alouettes. I'm going to side with Carlan. Saskatchewan loses at home, and the only reason I have saying that is because of Jennifer's email.
Wow.
Montreal wins. Boom.
Okay.
There.
Unbelievable.
There.
Another fantastic show being wrapped up today, folks.
Super show.
Super show. Neil Lumsden, thank you so much for coming on. Rob Peterson, the voice of Saskatchewan, the one that Andy hates so much.
No, I love you, Rod.
For coming on. You can follow us on Twitter at 3RDNLong, and you can hit us up on email, 3rd.longpodcasts@gmail.com. Become a fan on the Facebook fan page. For Andy McNamara, for Sase Narayan, I am Carlan Gay, saying